Have you ever wondered why no matter how much we chase after happiness, it always seems just out of reach? Imagine waking up every day feeling like something is missing despite having everything you've ever wanted. This isn't just a modern dilemma, it's a puzzle that humans have been trying to solve for millennia today. We're diving deep into why the things we often chase, money, fame, adventure, might not be the keys to lasting happiness. Instead, we'll explore how ancient wisdom, particularly from Stoic philosophy, offers us timeless tools for finding true contentment in a world that constantly tries to sell us the next big thing. So if you've ever felt that persistent itch that no amount of success or shopping sprees can scratch, you're in the right place to understand why, and more importantly, how to truly satisfy it. If you appreciate what we're doing here, a simple free favor I'll ask from you is to hit the subscribe button and don't skip any part of the video, because if you're here seeking answers beyond the conventional, you're already an exception, and every moment of this journey counts. From happiness to distress, we often imagine it as a state of constant joy and satisfaction derived from achieving our goals or acquiring new possessions. Yet how often have we reached that sought-after milestone only to find the satisfaction fleeting, quickly giving way to a new desire or a lingering sense of emptiness? This phenomenon isn't just a product of modern times, but has been observed and discussed by philosophers for centuries, particularly by the Stoics, who challenged our very notions of what brings true happiness. Take, for instance, the pursuit of career success. A common goal for many, we work tirelessly, often sacrificing time with family and personal health, driven by the promise of happiness through achievement and recognition. However, when we finally reach the peak of our professional life, the anticipated happiness can sometimes morph into stress or burnout. Instead, why does this happen according to Stoicism? It's because we've anchored our happiness to external outcomes that are not only volatile but also beyond our complete control. The Stoics taught that true happiness isn't found in external achievements or possessions, but in cultivating an inner resilience and virtue. They believed that by focusing on our internal character and responses to the world, we could find a more stable and lasting contentment. This doesn't mean that Stoics were against pleasure or success. Rather, they emphasize not becoming dependent on such externalities for our happiness. This wisdom rings particularly true when we look at personal relationships. We often expect our friends, partners, or family members to be sources of constant happiness and support. Yet every relationship experiences ups and downs, misunderstandings, and conflicts are inevitable and can turn what we believed to be a source of great happiness into a source of distress. Here again, Stoicism provides a valuable lesson. While we cannot control others' actions or feelings, we can control our reactions and adapt our expectations. Even our leisure activities like vacations, which we plan meticulously to escape the routines and stresses of daily life, can unexpectedly turn into sources of distress. How many of us have experienced the frustration of cancelled flights, bad weather, or simply not feeling as relaxed as we anticipated? Once again, the Stoic approach would advise us to focus on our internal state rather than external circumstances. It teaches us that our mental and emotional preparation for handling unforeseen challenges can significantly impact our experience of happiness or distress. In exploring these examples, it becomes clear that distress often follows happiness, not because our lives are flawed or because we fail to achieve what we desire, but because our expectations of unmitigated, continuous happiness from external sources are unrealistic. The Stoic philosophy encourages us to look inward for stability and peace, reminding us that our capacity for happiness is not dictated by our successes or failures, but by our ability to maintain tranquility and virtue in the face of life's inevitable fluctuations. This shift in perspective might just be the key to transforming our experiences of distress into opportunities for personal growth and deeper satisfaction. The trap of pleasure. We're naturally inclined to seek things that give us pleasure and avoid those that cause us pain. But what if I told you that this very instinct, while seemingly beneficial, often leads us into a trap? A trap where the more we chase pleasure, the more elusive it becomes. It's a bit like chasing the horizon, and no matter how fast you run, you never quite reach it. Now, this isn't a new idea. Stoic philosophers from ancient times had a lot to say about this. They warned us about the dangers of placing our happiness in the hands of fleeting pleasures. According to Stoicism, true happiness doesn't come from external sources like wealth, success, or sensory indulgence. These things can be taken away, can't they? Instead, happiness comes from something much more stable and within your control, your own virtuous behavior and inner resilience. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius Seneca and Epictetus focused less on seeking pleasure and more on developing virtue and maintaining inner peace. They believed that by controlling our responses to the world around us, we could achieve true happiness. For instance, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This highlights the Stoic belief that our internal mindset, rather than external circumstances, governs our well-being. Imagine you're at a lavish buffet with every kind of food you love. The initial reaction is to indulge, right? But if we give in to every impulse to eat whatever we want, we soon face the consequences, discomfort, and perhaps even health issues. The Stoics liken this to other pleasures in life. Indulgence might offer temporary satisfaction, but it often leads to long-term problems when not managed wisely. This is where the concept of moderation comes in a key Stoic value. And let's dive deeper into something more contemporary like social media. It's designed to be pleasurable, to give us quick hits of dopamine with likes, shares, and comments. But as many of us know, too much time on social media can turn into a source of anxiety and dissatisfaction. We start comparing ourselves to others, and what was once a source of pleasure becomes a source of stress. Again, the Stoics would point out that we've allowed external things, digital thumbs up and pixelated hearts, to dictate our well-being. Now, why is it important to recognize this trap? Because understanding it is the first step toward escaping it. Stoicism teaches us to develop self-awareness and control over our desires. By recognizing the fleeting nature of pleasure, we can start to detach our happiness from it. We can enjoy things, sure, but we do so without becoming dependent on them. We learn to find joy in the process and in the present moment rather than in the outcome. Stoicism doesn't just ask us to restrain ourselves for no good reason. It's about focusing our efforts on what truly enriches our lives, relationships, personal growth, and contributing to our community. These sources of satisfaction are not only more enduring, but are also largely within our control. They are less likely to lead us into the trap of always wanting more and never feeling fulfilled. It's crucial to be mindful of the trap of pleasure seeking. It's about balancing our pursuit of pleasure with wisdom and moderation. By anchoring our lives in Stoic principles, we can navigate the sea of desires without getting lost in the pursuit of fleeting pleasures and instead find a deeper, more meaningful kind of happiness, unreliable happiness. It's quite fascinating how often we believe that certain achievements or possessions will bring us lasting happiness. We think, if only I could have that new car, that job promotion, or that house, then I'd be truly happy. But how often does this turn out to be true? Time and again we find that the happiness these things bring is fleeting, and soon we're setting our sights on the next big thing. This cycle of expectation and disappointment is a classic example of what's known in psychological terms as unreliable happiness. The concept of unreliable happiness isn't new. Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Epictetus have long cautioned against relying on external circumstances for our happiness. Seneca wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or more accurately, do what's essential, what the logos of a social being requires, and in the requisite way which brings a double satisfaction to do less better. This insight is profound because it shifts the focus from the quantity of experiences or possessions to the quality of one's actions and their alignment with one's true nature. Epictetus emphasized the importance of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. He famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them." This statement highlights the Stoic belief that our reactions to external events, rather than the events themselves, determine our happiness. This is crucial in understanding why happiness can be so unreliable when it's based on external conditions that are by nature subject to change and often beyond our control. This idea is echoed in modern psychological theories such as the hedonic treadmill theory, which suggests that people quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major life changes. Whether it's a promotion, a new purchase, or even a loss, our emotional state tends to normalize after the initial impact wears off. This resilience is a double-edged sword. It helps us recover from negative events, but it also means that the positive gains from new acquisitions or achievements are only temporary boosts to our happiness. The Stoics offer a way out of this cycle. By advocating for a life focused on virtue and internal fulfillment rather than external success and possession, they teach us to cultivate qualities like resilience, temperance, and courage, which can sustain us through life's ups and downs. This approach to happiness is reliable because it's rooted in our own actions and attitudes, which are within our control rather than the whims of fate or the market. Moreover, engaging with the world from a Stoic perspective means seeing every experience, whether good or bad, as an opportunity to practice these virtues. For example, a setback at work can be a chance to practice patience and resilience, while a financial windfall can be a test of our ability to manage success with humility and wisdom in a world that often equates happiness with material success and sensory pleasure. Stoicism offers a compelling alternative. Find contentment in your own character and actions. By doing so, we can achieve a form of happiness that is not only more durable but also more profound, because it is not subject to the unpredictable nature of external circumstances. This kind of happiness isn't just more reliable, it's also more fulfilling because it aligns with the deepest truths about what it means to live a good life. Choosing pleasure. When we think about pleasure, it's tempting to go for the immediate gratification, the quick fix. But as we've seen, these kinds of pleasures can be fleeting and often leave us feeling empty or even craving more. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in handy. The Stoics teach us that not all pleasures are created equal, and that making deliberate choices about the pleasures we pursue can lead to greater and more lasting satisfaction. First, let's consider what kind of pleasures there are. There's sensory pleasure like eating a delicious meal or enjoying a warm, sunny day. Then there are deeper, more intellectual pleasures like reading a good book or engaging in meaningful conversation. The Stoics didn't denounce pleasure outright. Rather, they advised us to focus on those pleasures that support our personal growth and align with our values. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, counseled moderation and vigilance with pleasure, not letting it become the master of one's actions. When choosing pleasures, it's essential to ask ourselves, does this pleasure contribute to my well-being? Will it benefit me in the long run, or is it just a momentary delight? Pleasures that align with our personal growth and long-term goals tend to be more fulfilling. For example, the pleasure you're derived from completing a challenging workout isn't just about the endorphins. It's also about knowing that you're doing something good for your health and resilience. But how do we make these choices? It begins with self-awareness, understanding what truly makes us happy beyond societal expectations or superficial desires is crucial. This is where Stoicism provides a helpful perspective by focusing on our inner lives and cultivating virtues such as wisdom and self-control. We can better navigate the landscape of pleasure. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the importance of aligning pleasure with nature, that is, understanding what is naturally good for us as rational and social beings and acting accordingly. Moreover, choosing pleasures wisely also means being mindful of the potential consequences of our choices. Every decision to pursue a pleasure can have repercussions, some more serious than others. Engaging in excessive leisure, for instance, might detract from time that could be spent on more fulfilling or necessary tasks. Here the Stoic practice of reflection is beneficial. Reflecting on our day and the choices we made can help us understand our motivations and prepare us better for future decisions in our pursuit of pleasure. It's also beneficial to consider the impact of our choices on others. Stoicism teaches the value of community and the interconnectedness of our actions. Choosing pleasures that also benefit others, or at least do not harm them, is a way to enhance our own lives and contribute to the greater good. The art of choosing pleasure is about finding balance. It's about recognizing that while pleasure is a natural and important part of life, it should not be the sole focus. By integrating Stoic principles into our decision-making, we can pursue pleasures that are not only enjoyable but also enriching. This way we cultivate a life that is not only pleasurable but also meaningful and good, reflecting the best of what it means to be human. As we continue on our paths, remember, true happiness is a journey inward, not a pursuit outward. Thank you for joining me today on Stoic Journal. If this conversation resonated with you, consider watching one of the suggested videos on your screen to delve deeper into the wisdom of Stoicism. Thank you for being part of this thoughtful community. Until next time, seek within.